Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on Sri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ghanaian truck drivers block Paga border, halting all traffic from Burkina Faso in protest to a new policy barring trucks longer than 54 feet. Also coming up this afternoon, Ghana Police Service arrests National Vice Chairman of NDC Alhaji Azoka in Tamale following alleged abuse on the MPP's third National Vice Chairman. And much later on the program, NPP Bono Chairman Kwame Bafo, also known as Abronye DC, has been remanded into police custody, set to reappear before the court on the 15th of September.
We are of the view that state institutions are being weaponized unfairly, unduly, to harass members of the new political party. And we are going to rise against this.
I will bring you the latest from the court. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, Ghanaian truck drivers have blocked the Paga border this afternoon, halting all traffic from Burkina Faso in protest of a new policy by the Burkinabe government, barring trucks longer than 54 feet. Let's speak to our correspondent, Castro Sanyala, who is monitoring the situation for us. Castro, what can you tell us? Castro, what can you tell us?
Yes, Beatrice. Sorry for that. I was just engaging one of the officers here who wanted to find out something for me. Yes, so the current situation is that through the efforts of the state security agencies at the border, the route has been cleared, and as we speak now, vehicular movement is fluid. Before that, the drivers had blocked the entirety of the border to disallow trucks from Burkina Faso enter into Ghana, all in protest of a policy that seeks to say that Ghanaian drivers with vehicles that are longer than 54 feet would not be allowed in. The drivers were very angry, and in fact are still very angry, and are still seen in pockets, standing under trees and observing what is happening. But then the security agencies are still on standby to see how best they can defuse the situation if it becomes necessary.
I want you to hold on whilst we listen to the drivers, and then I'll get to find out from you really what's happening right now.
That's why we can block the route. That's why we can block the road here. When we not get a solution now, we drivers go find our solution different. What demonstration we will do now? Because this was emergency demonstration we are doing. If after here we are going to the commander, we will go to the commander in there and take the permit. If they don't give us the thing we like, we will take permission from the commander and know the day we will put the demonstration on. Then that one there, the whole Ghana safe. If nobody say maybe everybody will come here because if they don't allow us to go, they will allow us to bring our car back to Ghana and come Ghana here. We know say we did our country. That's the simple. That's why we are here today. So if we have something to tell our people.
And you just heard some drivers at the Burkina Faso Paga border. Castro Sanyala is still on the line with us. Castro, are you able to tell us how this is affecting traffic?
Yes, Beatrice, I'm finding it difficult to hear you. But then, yes, there's smooth flow of traffic now. The security agencies, the border state security agencies have been able to bring the situation underground and have, in fact, cleared all the road blockades that the drivers had mounted on the road. And as we speak now, vehicles from both sides are moving in and out, and everything is under control, except that some of the drivers are still lurking around under trees because they obviously aren't happy. And Beatrice, let me put in this, that the drivers who I spoke with have told me they've been here for the past 2 weeks, and that is in itself very discomforting, and they want the government of Ghana to do something about it.
Again, the main reason for this blockade is that law, as it were. Is there anything being done about it moving forward?
Yes, so Beatrice, I can confirm that I've been here this morning and I've seen that leadership from the Burkina side of the border have arrived and engaged with the DCE and that of the security chiefs within the border. And I understand that it's all about finding solutions because the Burkina.
And we just lost our correspondent, Castro Sanyala, on the line there. Let me see whether we can still hear him. Okay, we've lost him totally. Castro Sanyala, he's our Upper East Regional correspondent, bringing us updates on that protest by drivers at the Paga border following the halting of all traffic from Burkina Faso. And the drivers were protesting a new policy by the Burkinabe government, barring trucks longer than 54 feet. And you heard him there. Also bring us updates on what the Burkinabe authorities are doing, perhaps to vary this very policy. We'll bring you updates as and when we do have it. Now, leaders of the Kusasi and Mamprisi communities have signed a formal peace pact committing to end the long-standing ethnic tensions that recently turned deadly. The pact is aimed at preventing a spillover of the Boko conflict into the streets of Kumasi. Let's bring you some more.
The recent targeted killings in Asawasi sent shockwaves through the community. 2 lives lost, fueling fears that the distant conflict from Boko had found a new battleground in Kumasi. The incident plunged relations between the Kusasi and Mamprisi factions to a new low, deepening suspicion and tension. Although calm has now returned, security presence remained visible in the area. A committee tasked to probe the incident moved quickly to mediate. After hearing grievances from both sides, they brokered a crucial peace agreement signed on Thursday by leaders of both groups.
We are assuring the whole people in Kumasi municipality, especially the Zongo side, such a thing will never happen again. We'll be the first and the last. Though, beginning, we don't know that people are coming outside Kumasi, mingle with us, to cause the problems and run away. Today, we have gotten even to identify. We know some of them, or we're already victimized them to police. And we are assuring the police to help us.
The Ashanti Regional Chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Amu Abedu Emmanuel, stressed the importance of peaceful coexistence among the two groups.
We are all happy that they agree to live together and also try to also give early warning signs when they see signs about some of the speculation. Because one thing about conflict is about perception and fear.
And with the pact signed, the Ghana Police Service is hopeful but vigilant, viewing this as a critical first step in a longer process.
So the assurance to the committee is that when they go, they will talk to their youth, they talk to their women, so that they are already married, so that we don't hear any bad news in respect of murders and other things in the region. Basically, that was the reason why this committee was set, and then the meeting was also very successful.
And you had that report filed by Ibrahim Abubakar following that peace pact between the Kusasis and Mamprisis in Kumasi in the Ashanti region. Let's bring in security consultant Richard Kumado. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Mr. Kumado, what does this mean to the peace conversation?
Very beautiful, very encouraging. And I'm so happy to get this news that finally they have put pen to paper.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kumado, to interrupt. The line is very bad. If you're able to reposition yourself so we can hear you better.
Better now?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. So when the mediation team was given this particular assignment, this is one of the cardinal points we're looking to see. And thankfully, they've gotten here so early. Even though this particular process takes a lot of time, they have heard the cry of everybody, and the Santihini mediation team has done a tremendous job, at least by making them put pen to paper to sign this peace pact. What has happened is that once the peace pact is signed, we move to the next level to say that, are we going to follow through by the things and the terms of the pact you have signed? And where there are difficulties, let's go back to the negotiation table or the decision-making table, and let's address it. And I think it will lead to reconciliation, and that would be the happiest day in this country.
Indeed, and this is not the first time that there would be efforts to deal with conflict. How differently should this be tackled so we don't see a repetition of what we've seen in the past?
I have always been of the position that the centennial mediation thing has become a viable option. And if we encourage them and provide the resources for them, then they will help us to deal with the thorny issues and the difficult ones. We don't want to talk about it publicly, or those particular issues that law enforcement strictly cannot deal with because they involve chieftaincy, culture, tradition, and land mitigation issues, which has been part of our story before independence and before democracy comes into fruition. And so that is a good one. My understanding is that we have set up another mediation team to deal with the Solar, Tuna, Kaba area. If these two mediation teams can do their job properly, then we will have them in addition to what the Christian Council does. And it will help us to prevent the excesses that comes out of some of these crashes into the public space. And there will be peace. It will lead to development and economic stability. And overall, the monies we are using to settle these issues can be channeled into national development in those particular areas.
Indeed, and I want to believe that it was the leadership of both the Kusasis and the Mamproshis that went into this signing of the peace pact, as it were. How do you expect both parties to communicate this decision to their followers?
Definitely, we have not seen the exact terms of the terms of reference for which they signed, but to the extent that you appear in Kumasi, knowing who our grandfather Shantihine is, and knowing that he's the one leading the mediation team, and you have signed, then we want to believe that consciously you are obliged to obey or to communicate and apply yourself to the terms of reference for which you have signed. But you might have read it, you might have asked the lawyers to read it, you might have taken it to your constituency, your traditional constituency to read it and to agree that this is the way we want to go. In any case, we are human beings. If you communicate it and there's a problem, then let Ashanti know. Other than that, if you go against the terms of reference for which you have signed, then society can say you don't want to obey by any of the laws in this country, and let the hardness of law comes after you, and that will not be a palatable thing to see.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumado, for speaking to us. And he had Richard Kumado, he's a security consultant. Now, the New Patriotic Party Bono chairman Kwame Bafo, also known as Abronya DC, appeared in court today in the police's iconic prison on wheels, Black Maria, for the continuation of his case. Kwame Bafo has been charged with the publication of false news and offensive conduct likely to breach the peace in relation to comment he made about the IGP Christian Tateyono. He was arrested on Monday, September 8, after honoring an invitation by the police and was subsequently arraigned before the court, the circuit court, on Tuesday. Lord Edwasare is our court affairs correspondent. He joins us live on the phone. Lord, what can you talk to us about the court hearing today?
Well, Beatrice, so basically it's been a very busy morning for the MPP regional chairperson, and then generally the MPP at large, because there were several MPP stalwarts who came here to solidarize with their Bono chair. We had the former Attorney General Godfrey Wadame, former MPP national chairperson Freddie Blake, and the minority leader Alexander Afinimagin. He actually led the team representing the Bono MPP chair in court today. Now, he argued that the police were showing or exercising high-handedness in the case that had to do with misdemeanor. He indicated that at the last time they were in court, when Abronya was remanded into custody, he was sent to the NIB to be kept, although the national investigative body has nothing to do with this issue that has to do with the MPP Bono chair. He indicated that the police just wanted to punish their member because the case was in relation to the Inspector General of Police. He prayed for bail for the MPP Bono chair, indicating that misdemeanors such as this shouldn't be something that the police should be punishing their member for, citing that, for example, there's a recent issue at Akwesha where it had to do with the NDC's Azoka, threatening to kill the minority leader, and even for such a person, he has been granted bail by the circuit court, and so similar should be used in reference to Abronya. He prayed for bail, but the prosecution vehemently opposed this bail application, indicating that they have chance on intelligence, which suggests that if care is not taken, Abronya may bring the security apparatus and indeed security of the country to its knees. They indicated that they have come across multiple videos where Abronya was making several other assertions and allegations, for which reason they needed to keep him in custody to in furtherance of the investigations, because they needed to still question him on those matters. After listening to the arguments from both sides, I must say, Beatrice, that at some point the former NPP National Chair, Freddie Blay, he chipped in, indicating that the high-handedness of the police must not be encouraged, because a matter such as this involving Abronya should be one that she should be granted bail because it is MS demeanor. Citing other instances who were charged with similar offenses were granted bail, and eventually when the case was done, they were fined penalties. In his ruling, however, the presiding judge, Namata Samabrais Akwa, indicated that one person can insult Party A, but the same thing cannot be said about the person when he insults, for example, Party B, because there may be different dynamics involved. And then he indicated that there was a need for the country to nip the incidents of politics of insult in the bud, indicating that such matters are getting out of control. And so, after listening to them, he remanded Abronya again to 2 weeks custody, to prison custody, Martin Karum. But at that point, Afeni Makin objected and prayed the court to tone down the point of custody, and so it was changed to police custody. And so Abronya is set to reappear before the court again on September 19. And Beatrice, I must say that even before the ruling was given, we saw 2 buses deployed were filled with multiple police personnel who normally would regulate crowd or riots, fully armed. They came to help secure the place, because it appeared that tensions were going up in the air with the party enthusiasts who were present. They were consistently hooting at the police apparatus and casting invectives at what is happening to the MPP Bono chairperson. And so at that point, they lined up before the court, and then Abronya was heavily escorted, heavily guarded, to back into the Black Maria, which brought him to the court premises. And so he was taken from the court premises and is set to reappear on September 19 pages.
Thank you very much, Lord Edwasari. He's our court correspondent. He was referring earlier to the national organizer of the MPP, Nana Boakye, and exactly what he said about what's going on. Let's listen to exactly the words of Nana Boakye.
They need more time for investigation, that is all. Meanwhile, in their own charge sheets, they had stated that they have completed their forensics. The police is unprepared, so the fact that they are unprepared means that they should be kept in police custody for another 1 week. Very unfair. That is just the reason. Very, very unfair. So in the same vein, then you have Sofa Zoka, who has been granted bail and has been told to appear before court on the 12th of September. Very, very unfair. We are of the view that state institutions are being weaponized unfairly, unduly, against due process to harass members of the New Patriotic Party. And we are going to rise against this.
And you heard that Nana Boakye, he's the national organizer of the opposition New Patriotic Party, still in court. The Ghana Police Service has also arrested the second national vice chairman of the NDC, Alhaji Solo Azoka in Tamale. This follows an official complaint lodged by the leadership of the NPP after an altercation with their own second national vice chairman, Alhaji Masoud Osman, in Kwetia. A statement issued by the Ghana Police Service said that following following the commencement of investigations into the alleged assault, the Eastern Regional Police Command on September 10 arrested the suspect, Alhaji Solo Azoka. It said that the cautious statement has been obtained from the suspect and has been released on bail to report to the Eastern South Regional Police Command in Chebi on the 16th of September 2025 at 10 a.m. for him to be arraigned at the court. Let's bring you some more here on the midday news on Sri FM 92.7. And calls are intensifying to address the burden of unpaid care work for caregivers of children with developmental disabilities in Ghana. Recent statistics reveal that 90% of these caregivers provide support without pay, often at great emotional and psychological cost, including mental health challenges. There's more in this report.
Children with developmental disabilities in Ghana continue to face significant barriers, particularly in accessing inclusive education. Although Ghana has a policy on inclusive education, its implementation remains inconsistent and inadequate. At a dialogue focused on recognizing unpaid care work, Dr. Kwame Sechi from the Center for Learning and Childhood Development noted that children with developmental disabilities are disproportionately excluded from mainstream education.
We also saw some big gender disparities in the way that payment were being done. We realized that the current system really tends to favor caregivers with boys more so than caregivers with girls. The last one we also found was that when unpaid care work is done, most of the time, mothers or caregivers or children with this cerebral palsy seems to be the ones that are doing the most work, but also receiving a less payment.
One caregiver shared her personal experience, citing persistent stigma, lack of resources, and limited government support.
Usually when they see mothers like us with our children, the first thought is that, oh, these are a bunch of some poor people who have given birth to disabled children, and what they do is give you handouts. Look at me. Do you think that this is what I need? I want my daughter to have a life. I don't want my daughter to live a life where I think that she'll grow up to be a beggar. My daughter have tried about 10 schools in her life, and she's only 12 years. So I've decided to now homeschool her.
A representative from the Ghana Education Service acknowledged that public schools face serious constraints, limiting their ability to fully embrace inclusive education.
If you look around, look at our public mainstream schools. Some are accessible, others are not accessible. In the cities, yes, we might find accessible schools. What about those in the villages? If a teacher is managing, for example, 40 learners, and that learner with severe needs is being mainstreamed without an assistant in that class, please, let's ask ourselves, how would the teacher be able to manage this child effectively? We don't just want to mainstream to exclude that child. We want to include so that we will include the child in the teaching learning process. And this calls for logistical support.
As the conversation continues, advocates are pushing for policy reform, increased support, and greater recognition of the unpaid care work that sustains thousands of children across the country.
And that was the news desk report. Now, the 2025-2026 Ghana Premier League is set to kick off today, the 12th of September, at the Accra Sports Stadium. President John Mahama will be the special guest of honor, while dancehall artist Stone Boy treats the fans with music from his catalogue when Accra Hearts of Oak slags it off with the newly promoted Hoho United at the Accra Sports Stadium. And my colleague Mutala Yakubu is here in the studio with some details. Mutala, just tell us what kind of season we are to expect.
A very competitive season because Asante Kotoko and Hearts of Oak, who are the two giants in Ghana football, have not won the league in the last 3 seasons. So they want to reclaim what is rightfully theirs according to them. Yes. And the last 3 winners of the Ghana Premier League have all come from the Western region. So there's that Western dominance. Also, the teams in the Bono region used to be very dominant. Brekum, Chelsea, Aduana all winning the league at some point. But they seem to have lost their mojo, and they say they want to come back and also reclaim what they think is rightfully theirs. So it's going going to be very competitive.
A lot of entitlement in here.
Of course. And there's been a lot of changes made to the teams, like Hartlepool, for instance. They brought in a new coach, signed about 12 players. Asante Kotoko have Karim Zito, brought in about 14 players. So all these teams are sending a signal that this year's league would be very competitive.
Indeed. And what teams are we considering favorite to win?
Favorites, definitely the two topmost teams in the country, Hartlepool, Asante Kotoko. For Asante Kotoko, they've made a bold claim of challenging for the title from the onset. Hartlepool are being a little bit cautious with the approach because they have a new manager, want to build on what they did last season. Definitely, Baby any Gold Stars who won the league last season would want to defend their title, but there's been a lot of talk from the camp of Adriana, Mediema, Nations FC who came close, Pando Heart of Lions who also came close. All these teams are eyeing the Ghana Premier League, and with the extra motivation of being given 1 million Ghana cedi to prepare for the season, all these teams are looking forward to making that count.
Indeed. And in terms of coverage, where do we watch it?
Of course, coverage, TV3, Onuya TV have secured the rights. We know that Adisa Production would be broadcasting the matches live, but it will be live on TV3, Onuya TV. Also, 3FM has secured the rights for radio commentary. So for the next 34 weeks, we are going to have a syndicated commentary where 3FM and Onuya FM would benefit and also run commentary. But the games, if you want to watch it on TV, it's on TV3 and Onuya TV. So tonight at 7 p.m., the first game will kick off. President John Dramani Mahama will be there. Hearts Hoho United live on TV3 at 7.
That's a huge facelift. I'm hearing it's the first time the president would visit or be at the Premier League.
And it's one of the manifesto promises that the NDC made prior to the election, that they would ensure they support our local league. And having the president around is a huge boost and a huge lift for a league that has suffered low turnout in recent years. For the president to be there, it sends a signal to the rest of Ghanaians that our league must be prioritized, and they need to, be at the stadium and also watch on TV. They need to just be part of the Ghana Premier League, and that is a good move from the government.
And I have to go there with a paid-for ticket? As in paid ticket?
Of course, the tickets are, it's affordable to ensure that every Ghanaian can watch, but there's a policy from the FA which is still running. It is free for women who turn up at every venue to watch a Ghana Premier League game, enter free. Women and children. Women and children, but children is subjective. When it comes to children, it's a bit subjective, but you can go to the stadium.
As long as you are less than 18,
of course.
You're an adult per constitution when you are 18,
of course. And the opener is even more exciting because there will be entertainment as well.
Lovely.
Stoneboy would be performing, so fans can catch a glimpse of their favorite football and their favorite artists.
I hope you will be coming with his wife.
Of course.
But what is this about? I'm curious though. The Hoho United and the newly promoted, for those who haven't really followed.
Yeah, so Hoho United have been playing in Division 1 for some time now. It belongs to former Minister of Energy John Peter Amewu. He's the owner of Hoho United. They qualified to the Premier League last season. It's the first time that people in Hoho will watch Ghana Premier League football. Fortunately for me, I visited Hoho last week just to have a community engagement with the people and how they are feeling towards the Ghana Premier League. And I can tell you it's massive because it's history that is about to be made. A club in Hoho playing in the Ghana Premier League.
I was there in 2012 and I look forward to visiting that community again. It's a lovely place.
And it's something that they've wished for a long time. So now that it's a reality, they want to embrace it. They want to turn up at the stadium each and every time to watch Hoho United.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Murtala Mohammed, for bringing us this interesting news. Now, security analyst Emmanuel Kutin has been speaking about the illegal mining situation and has described Galamsey as an existential threat to Ghana's environment and water. Let's listen to him speak earlier on Sunrise earlier today.
Why should a few greedy individuals prioritize our future in the name of destroying our environment? And the president is saying that a time hasn't come to trigger the process of putting a state of emergency on our forest reserves. I will urge the president to do the honorable thing, take a tour of the Galamsey sites and see for himself the rate of how our environment has been destroyed on the daily basis. And more scandalous was the fact that they withdrew the security contingent they sent to kind of prevent these illegal miners from going on with their activities with the excuse that they didn't know the difference between legal small-scale mining and illegal small-scale mining.
You say it's an excuse?
Yes, it's an excuse.
And you heard the security analyst Emmanuel Coutin speaking earlier on Sunrise about the existential threat of illegal mining. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the Midday News today on Shri FM 92.7. Log on to shrinews.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily with Michael Obudu.
Follow us on social media, Twitter at 3FM927, Facebook at 3FM927, and also on 3news.com.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, International Monetary Fund IMF backs Ghana's proposed utility tariff review, says higher charges could tackle power sector inefficiencies, attract investment and reduce energy debts. Meanwhile, Association of Ghana Industries AGI describes proposed utility tariff hike as insensitive to plight of businesses. We'll hear from Greater Accra Chairman Chunam Akbelu.
Already, industry is burdened with several costs that we have to deal with. Utilities constitute major components of our production cost.
And World Bank disburses $360 million under second resilient recovery policy operation to back Ghana's fiscal stability, energy reforms, and climate resilient growth. I am Michael Obudu. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for your time. Now, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has expressed support for Ghana's proposed utility tariff review, stressing that adjustments, if approved, could help end inefficiencies in the energy sector, attract private investment, and address the growing debt burden. The remarks come as the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, continues engagements on possible increases set to take effect from October 1, 2025. The following report has the details.
The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has endorsed Ghana's proposed review of electricity and utility tariffs. According to the IMF's Director of Communications, Julie Kozak, would be critical to addressing long-standing inefficiencies in the power sector, encouraging private sector investment, and helping clear mounting arrears that continue to weigh down the industry. Speaking at a press briefing in Washington, D.C., she added that the IMF also supports broader energy sector reforms, including private sector participation in the operations of the Electricity Company of Ghana. She explained that these reforms form part of a wider strategy to strengthen state-owned enterprises and reduce fiscal risks. The comments come as the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, engages stakeholders over tariff proposals from utility companies. The Electricity Company of Ghana has requested more than a 200% hike, though sources close to the commission say such a steep adjustment is unlikely to be approved. While some economists caution that any significant increases could fuel inflation and raise the cost of living, the IMF has also praised Ghana for progress under its $3 billion program, highlighting gains in financial management, growth performance, and macroeconomic stability.
And that was the 3 Business News Desk report. Meanwhile, the Association of Ghana Industries AGI has hit out at the proposed utility tariff increases, warning that any sharp adjustments will worsen the already high cost of doing business in the country. The group says the planned hikes are insensitive to the plight of industries struggling to stay afloat. Chonam Akbelo is the Greater Accra chairman of AGI.
AGI is unhappy about the proposed increments in the tariffs and all utilities. Already, industry is burdened with several costs that we have to deal with. Utilities constitute major components of our production cost, okay? And we do need the utilities. We need power to produce. We need water to produce, so that an attempt to increase the utility price, it's almost like saying that you are going to directly increase the cost of production. And our view is that that is not helpful for industry at all. It's not welcome. Our wish is for government to consider that decision and ensure that the prices of utility are not only stabilized but are essentially reduced.
Greater Accra Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, Chonam Akbelo speaking. The World Bank has disbursed $360 million to Ghana under its International Development Association to support government's ongoing reforms aimed at restoring macroeconomic stability, strengthening the financial and energy sectors, and reinforcing climate and social resilience. The disbursement, approved by the bank's board in June and ratified by Ghana's parliament in July, forms part of the second Resilient Recovery Development Policy financing operation.
The World Bank has advanced $360 million to Ghana under the second Resilient Recovery Development Policy financing operation. The funds, drawn from the bank's International Development Association, are expected to boost Ghana's efforts to restore fiscal sustainability, promote private sector-led growth, and improve financial discipline in the energy sector. According to the World Bank, the program will support reforms that enhance revenue mobilization, strengthen financial sector stability, and attract private investment for job creation. It will also invest in measures to build social resilience while mainstreaming climate considerations into public policy to ensure long-term sustainable growth. The disbursement complements earlier budgetary support under the first Resilient Recovery Operation and aligns with ongoing reforms under Ghana's IMF program. Parliament ratified the facility in July after World Bank board approval in June this year.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on the World Bank's $360 million disbursement under the second Resilient Recovery Policy operation to Ghana to back Ghana's fiscal stability, energy reforms, and climate resilient growth. Now, the Chief Justice, Julius Deborah, has called on civil servants to play a frontline role in delivering the government's 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program. He describes the civil service as a critical player in the policy success, urging personnel to adopt a more proactive and innovative approach to service delivery. The program, which aims to boost productivity, create jobs, and reduce Ghana's reliance on imports, is central to the government's economic transformation agenda. Speaking at a workshop on the initiative, Julius Deborah said public sector workers must begin aligning their operations with the policy's objective to ensure its full implementation.
It is the civil service that ensures coherence, aligning ministry work plans, harmonizing regulation, streamlining reporting lines, and preventing duplications. The 24-hour agenda therefore requires civil servants who think beyond silos, who see the ministry's mandate not in isolation, but as part of a national ecosystem. 3. The civil service as the front line of service delivery. The 24-hour agenda is people-centered. It promises citizens expanded opportunities through jobs, business facilitation, or improved public services. To the ordinary Ghanaian, it is not the president or minister who embodies this promise. It is the civil servant they encounter at the port, in the hospital, in the registry, or at the border. This means that as we ask the private sector to commit, the civil service too must adapt. This places an obligation on the service to embrace new attitude, efficiency, responsiveness, accountability, and a willingness to adopt technology and flexible working arrangements.
And you hear that the voice of Chief of Staff Julius Deborah bringing an end to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Urban Blend. Do stay tuned.